Howdy. Welcome to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's, live on location, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station, coming off the victory on Saturday over ULM and playing a little team in Alabama, I guess, on Saturday. It will be the 22nd ranked Texas Aggies and the number one ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. That will be Saturday. 2:30 is the kick from Tuscaloosa. 1:30 is when we will get started on the Aggie Radio Network with our pregame show. We want to tell you what's in store for tonight's show. Coach Jimbo, we're going to talk about this past Saturday. We're going to preview this coming Saturday. A couple things we're going to talk about. A reminder that we are on Facebook Live. And I think it's more than just coincidence that, and I'm going to ask Jimbo about this, that we had someone check in, if you remember last week, from Sulphur Springs, home of Larry Pryor. Larry Pryor got the interception on Saturday. So we can start that tradition of people just checking in if it's going to mean that Ags are going to get interceptions and touchdowns and all that kind of stuff. So we will do that. Also on Twitter, at Aggie Football, is where you can catch all of this live. We've got some questions that we're going to dip into. Thank you so much for supplying those questions. And once again, thank all of you for being here live on location here at Rudy's. Want to take this opportunity. We're going to have a couple of quick segments here, and then we'll have a longer time to talk with Coach Fisher. But we are all united in our concern for those affected by Hurricane Florence. United Ways across the region are helping communities face the devastating effects of this storm and offering hope and help when and where it is most needed. To find out how you can help those impacted by natural disasters, visit unitedway.org. And a reminder that AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing, that's our thing. We're going to step aside. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are live on location from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Jimbo Fisher Show will continue from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit, rolls on from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. We thank you for joining us along the Aggie Radio Network, as we told you, on Facebook Live, on Twitter Live. We have your questions. So glad that you are with us. My favorite. Okay, I'm going to call out Ryan Dye now on Facebook Live. Ryan says his question is Jimbo there for an interview or something? Yeah, considering that we have a logo for him and everything, he's going to be here. Jimbo, Ryan, I'm kidding. Thank you for watching. Keep watching. Yeah, Jimbo, we do this every week, every Wednesday with Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, as he prepares for Alabama. He and the staff and the players all prepare for Alabama. I want to give you an opportunity I wish you all knew. The question I asked Jimbo last week about being the head coach and everything that changes and being pulled in so many different directions. Alan Cannon is here, our SID. We knew today the ESPN that he has, and Coach is always kind to carve out time for me, and we use it for the radio network, and you just see he's constantly on the go. And I've rarely been around anybody who has been so accommodating and so good with all the staff. So just a little delay. Like I said, I'm just going to tap dance here. We're going to get some breaks out of the way. Then we're going to have an excellent opportunity to have a long conversation. What I'd like to add over there, Matt Simon, he's going to try to hide behind that camera over there. We have started something with 12th Man Productions and wanted to share because we'd like you to subscribe and we'd like you to download and we'd like you to listen. When you go to 12thman.com/podcast, it will take you to the station. So my partner on radio, Will Johnson, he has Recall. He does that every Monday, and this past Monday he had Bucky Richardson with him. So what will do is talk about the weekend game that just happened, preview the other weekend or the next weekend's game, if you will. So that will come out on Mondays. We have started then on Tuesdays an opportunity to sit down and talk with an Aggie football player now that we are in season, and they sit down with me, and it's a little longer form conversation. That's what we call it. We call it conversations because, as I was telling Matt, I was trying to think of a name for this podcast, and we had asked everybody at 12th Man what finally Matt came up with the very simple conversations, and it's been perfect just to be able to sit down and we talk a little bit more and we get to know some of those Aggie players a little bit better. But Studio 12, which comes your way, there are excerpts from there. You can catch Jimbo Fisher's radio show on there. Just the opportunity. So like I said, subscribe, download, listen, 12thman.com/podcast. It's all part of the station for those podcasts. You can get a little more for a little inside, if you will, for the Aggies. So please do that. We are still going to continue. Jimbo will be with us in just a little bit. Want to remind you, football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We will step aside, take our second break, come on back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, live on location here at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road, and it's presented to you from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit rolls on, live on location from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. On Facebook Live, we've got a check-in from Australia already. We have Chattanooga, Tennessee, a howdy from Chattanooga, Somerville, Tennessee, Flatonia, Frisco, and LaGrange, Kentucky. Keep checking in. Thank you so much. He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. Jimbo Fisher is with us. Howdy, Coach.
Howdy, how you doing?
Let's wrap up last week. I'm doing great. Let's wrap up last week as we get set to focus on this Saturday. The win over ULM. Your final thoughts on that one?
Well, I thought we went out and we took care of what we had to take care of. I think we got better in a lot of phases. I think our kicking game is really coming along. We had a freshman kicker who had to come in because unfortunately Daniel had the foot injury, and to be able to step up as a true freshman and kick like he did, he hit the ball very well. You know, I'm sure he had some nerves and anxiousness, but, man, he's been kicking in practice well, and he went out and played well. Our punter, man, again, is punting the ball extremely well. He had 2 punts, but he hits one 48 yards with no return, and the other puts it on the 12-yard line. We get a block kick for 6 points in our inside rush and almost had a second one. Punt returns were good. I mean, so kicking game was very sound. Defensively, second half was outstanding. First half, we just give up too much air. In other words, didn't take the air out of some plays up front a couple times, give up a deep ball, and they made a couple plays, but second half made great adjustments. Offensively, very efficient is what I would say. Had the ball 9 times, scored 7 out of 9 times. I only had the ball 4 times in the first half, and we scored 3 out of 4. It was just the way the game was, it goes back and forth. But ran the ball with good effectiveness. Travion was well. I thought Kellen did a great job managing the game, getting us in, not just always a throw or him running, but getting us in now the right looks and into the right plays. Some great those younger receivers come out and, again, made some plays, and Jace made some plays, and had a very solid. And then saw Jay Sean Corbin, some of our young backs that way, and some of those guys make some plays. So we got better. We still had, we had 3 touchdowns called back. We can't have that. We had 3 holding calls, and they were all legit holding calls and had touchdowns called back. That we got to get that fixed. And there's still a lot of work to do, but we're gradually getting better, and that's our goal every day. We just got to get better each day, and eventually we'll get there.
The blocked field goal, that inside penetration. I know Dalen Mack gets credit for the block, but Matabike was there and Kiki was there. They kind of overwhelmed, and then that went right to Tyrell, didn't it?
It did. He was on his support and he got right to the kick. But I will say this: Mack is the key on that. He's the guy who gets that push. They all were pushing Matabike and him, but Mack is that key right on that point. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Mack is playing as well as anybody on our defense. Period. I mean, Dalen is really playing well inside. The physicality he's playing with, the leverage, the effort, and the things. Now, those guys are all doing a good job, but, man, that guy's really stepped up and played well.
Tyrell, it was during the conversations we were talking, he said he's running the ball back. Didn't realize it was 78 yards that he had to run. Then all of a sudden he heard someone behind him, and it was Chuck Oliver. He's like, don't be showing me up, showing your speed. Goes, let me have it. So he looked he saw the big screen, and he realized that he was closer. Yeah. But isn't it interesting to hear what players are thinking about in situations like that?
Sometimes you don't want to ask. Sometimes you don't want to know. Sometimes when I do it, what were you thinking? And I hear it, I said, why did you have to tell me that? Just tell me something else.
That's what But that was you made a really good point in your Monday press conference is if Tyrell dogs that play and just gives up that field goal, that doesn't happen, does it?
No, see, I mean, what he did exactly what he was coached to do, because he's contained. And so what you have to do is get to the level of the ball, where the ball is being kicked, so it affects fakes. Even if you step across the line of scrimmage, they can still throw passes, options, and if you're not squid. So he did exactly what he's coached to do on a play that, what's the odds he's going to catch the ball and return it for a touchdown? But that's the point of doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to be done, and good things happen to you. You make big plays by doing what's right, making smart plays, being reliable, being accountable, and all of a sudden we get the block, he's at the point, the ball kicks up, scores a touchdown. Yeah. I mean, now, did he do anything special? No, he did his job, but that is special. See, that's what people don't understand. Like I say, most heroes in this world never set out to be heroes. They just did what was right, and that's trying to get our players to understand that. Just keep doing what's right. Good things will happen to you.
Okay, see, I was prepared this week. A Chuck Noll quote. You ready? And this is because of Monday. Champions are champions not because they do anything extraordinary, but because they do the ordinary things better than anyone else. I
agree with that. I mean, that team back when I grew up watching them and loving them, that team was as good as any team that's ever played in pro football. I mean, they did it. The physicality was skill, but they were just so fundamentally sound and physical in the way they played. But they were still skilled and fun to watch. But they just did everything right. And they beat you by not just their physicality, but their relentlessness of execution. know what I'm saying, and doing ordinary things just perfect, where they never give you a chance to make a mistake.
Right. It's something. I got a couple more. We're going to do this. I've got an hour. I can get all these in. Hey, a reminder that Texas A&M football is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit, together we're better. And Capital Farm Credit is the presenting sponsor of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. We will step aside. We will come back to Rudy's and along the Aggie Radio Network, Facebook Live, Twitter Live as well. Stay with us. Jimbo Fisher Radio Show will continue from Learfield. As Jimbo Fisher mentioned, it was Dalen Mack who got the block. It was Tyrell Dotson, officially 78 yards on that block to punt, and the Aggies on to the 48-10 win over ULM, now 2-1. And this week we learned that the Aggies get ranked number 22. So we'll talk a little bit about that as the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show continues, presented by Capital Farm Credit here at Rudy's. And a reminder that Aggie football brought to you by Bud Light, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. Rankings mean anything to you during the course of the season?
No, I mean, they're great, and you got to get there because you obviously want to be in the top four. But at the same time, there's something I ignore. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't control it.
Right.
So would it do me any good to worry about it? Right. No, you just got to go play. What we got to do, if we just keep playing, we'll get to where we want to be and keep playing well.
He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. It's Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo, I joked with you. We had I told everybody that you're kind enough to carve out some time for the radio network, the interview. And one of the questions I asked Coach was, is it simpler for time just to ask you what Alabama doesn't do well as opposed to what they do well. And you said it's one of the most balanced teams.
It is. I mean, they've had a long run right here of consistency. They've won 10 games for 10 years or whatever and 5 national championships. I mean, they're in a run, and they're playing well. And you don't win those things. People think, well, teams don't get lucky when you win national championships. You're pretty good, and you're coached well, and things go well, and you're good in all 3 phases. Everybody says, well, defense wins championships. Well, I know, but if that offense doesn't score any points, we're not winning the championship either. And the offenses sell tickets. No, if defense giving up a lot of points, people ain't coming to the game either. And the special teams got to be good. You got to be good in all 3 phases, and they are. I mean, right now they're probably as explosive offensive as they've been in a while. I think the quarterback's playing great, but the 3 receivers are dynamic. The tight end can get vertical. They have great backs. They always have. They get a very good offensive line, and their scheme and their coach very well. Defensively, they've been the standard of college football for the last 10 years. I mean, what they've done and how they played. They play the run, the physicality. I mean, it's hard to run the football, but you have to. They play the pass, multiple looks, different blitzes, different packages. And Nick's involved in that, and it's as good as anybody anywhere. And then the kicking game. I mean, now their kickers are always very good, and then they got a dynamic returner in Waddle, the young freshman who is very explosive and can run. So, I mean, they can affect you in all 3 phases, and not many teams can truly affect you like that, and they're one of them, that's for sure.
This is one of the hands in the dirt game, isn't it?
You bet up front now. The guys that put the hand in the dirt both ways are going to have to play well, because you can have all the skill in the world. If those guys up front don't play well on either side, it doesn't work. And you got to win. You got to be able to run the football, and even if it's not large yards, it's when you run it. And people say, all right, when you got to run it? You got to run it. I mean, short yards, you got to run it goal line, you got to run it red zone, you got to run it the last 4 minutes of the game. Other times you run it when you want to, when the numbers are according. But those times when you have to do it, and we have to be able to do that. If we run it in those times, it's great, and if we keep running, it's great. But then I think the guys on defense, we got to stop the run, because that's they can, when you're aggressive. And right now they're playing very aggressive offense. We're taking a lot of shots. But then because they come back, they miss, and they run the ball, makes 5 yards, all of a sudden it's 3rd and 5. They're back in control of the chains. So, I mean, you got to win that first down bet on the running game and then try not to give up the big plays.
On offense, you want to be in as many 3rd and shorts if you're in 3rd down?
3rd and 5 or 6 or less. I mean, it changes what defenses call, what you call offensively, and the ability to, for the quarterback to run, to have a true run. Screens underneath those, and then it also gets you chances to take shots, because if people are up there and you have your calculated risk and you get 3rd and 5 and want to get a first down, but I got a matchup that I want right here, I can take a shot for a long play, because they're usually playing sticks or man coverage, so you can get one-on-one. So, I mean, from that standpoint, it opens up your playbook.
You mentioned both the offensive and defensive lines. Are you learning more about your offensive and defensive lines through 3 games?
Without a doubt. I mean, the consistency and and it's not just how they play, but how they communicate, how they think, how they adjust, how they react to different situations. And we got some really good young players who are really developing, and I'm proud of our coaches. Elijah Robinson and Terry are doing a great job on the defense side. And of course, Jim Turner is doing a great job up front with those guys, and they're getting better and better.
It seems going in, we knew that you could move Kingsley Keke from the inside to the outside. Just that versatility. And Bobby Brown, he's young, but he's quite an end. And I don't mean to just pick out just a couple, but with Kingsley, that versatility is really something.
What Kingsley does, I mean, inside Mack and Matabuke are playing lights out. I mean, playing lights out. Mack is crazy, and Matabuke is playing really well. But Kingsley, the ability to, when you go inside, create pass rush with quickness, and he still has strength and size, but to put him outside and you get big tackles, he still has quickness to rush a passer, but he can play the run. And beat up tight ends, 290 pounds, it's hard for those guys to move. So his versatility and what he can do makes it very dynamic, that's for sure. And like I say, Trey Brown, those guys Trey's going to be an outstanding player. He's getting better and better every week.
It's so exciting to watch.
Peavy, too. Jaden
Peavy,
I mean, he is his coming along. He's got a chance to be a really, really good player.
It's nice to have that depth and to mix and match at times,
You got to. I mean, different body types for what you're trying to ask them to do, different schemes, schematics, where you're 3 down, 4 down, different down and distances, personnel, that's huge.
Going to be fun watching them develop. Going to be fun watching them on Saturday. A&M and Alabama, 2:30, 1:30 on the Aggie Radio Network with our pregame show. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented Continues. Presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's at 504 Harvey Road. Thanks for staying with us. Little bit of technical difficulties. Want to tell you that Texas Farm Bureau invites you to visit 12thman.com/maroon contest and register for your chance to hang out on Kyle Field with the Yell leaders at the next home game. Winners get photo ops, game tickets, pregame hospitality, and the chance to get a pregame tour of Kyle Field. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Jimbo, we asked for questions, and I'm going with Ian Curtis is 13 years old, and Ian is asking, what do you look for in an athlete?
That's an open-ended question. Yeah. First and foremost, when you're talking about who you can recruit, there's got to be a certain level of athletic ability to be able to play at this level of ball and size that goes with it. But then after that, it goes back to character, it goes back to intelligence, it goes back to competitiveness, and your ability to be selfless. That makes a big thing. Are you going to be a good teammate? And do you have the ability to affect other people, not just with your physical ability, with your mental ability and your competitiveness, and those issues. There's a ton of things. That could be, we could go on here for a long time. You really could. But there's got to be a certain level of athleticism to be able to play at certain levels of ball. That's why you have different levels. And then size, and sometimes size, but not always. Sometimes little people can do a great job.
Right.
But
can't measure this, right?
Exactly right.
Cannot. Ian, thank you for that question.
Great
question.
Have
a couple more throughout. We're going to step aside real quick so we have more time with Coach Fisher. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit, live on location here at Rudy's, and it's presented to you from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit, rolls on from Rudy's. Thanks for staying with us. Tune into Fox Sports Southwest every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Catch the Pulse and stay up to date with Texas A&M football. As we continue with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. I'm Andrew Monaco. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining us on the Aggie Radio Network, on Facebook Live, and on Twitter Live. So I continued with these. I just had to continue with the Chuck Noll because once I saw one, I saw others.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, some coaches pray for wisdom. I pray for 260-pound tackles. They'll give me plenty of wisdom.
Hey, think about what he just said. 260-pound tackles.
Not anymore, Coach.
I don't know if we'd recruit one that was 260 pounds. I mean, think about how that's changed. That's amazing, isn't it?
Game's changed just a little bit, just a tad. Pressure isn't what you. Pressure is what you feel when you don't know what's going on.
When you're not prepared. It's
right.
not pressure when you're prepared.
Right.
It's just reaction and play. That's what you have to be. The power of preparation is the key. And people say if you're prepared for a test. I've never been nervous for a test I studied for. You're anxious. You're anxious,
and
but
there's
you're
a
not
difference.
nervous. There's a big difference.
Yes.
Anxiousness because you want to know, you want to get out what you already know. But there's a nervousness when you know you didn't prepare and you didn't do your work.
What do they say in baseball? That's when the ball finds you.
Exactly. It does.
Same thing in football. You're going to find it. And I know you'll like this one. The thrill isn't in the winning; it's in the doing.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, the winning is great, it's the preparation and all the work and everything that goes into it, the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. But like I say, I love being on the practice field. People say you like games, I do, but I truly love practice. I mean, I love being on the practice field.
Yeah, it's being able to transfer that knowledge.
Exactly, and that's where you grow. I mean, you grow in games and with experience. Don't get me wrong, and how you have to handle things. But when guys, that's where the grind comes from, and learn to bring something out of yourself. And it's fun to practice.
Stay there. I'm going to pick up on that because I want to ask you about some of your coaching influences when we come back. I know we've all talked, everyone's going to hear about the Nick Saban and this and that, but there's more. He brought them up on Monday, and love to know what you've learned from all of those. We're going to step aside because of those technical difficulties. We will take a break right here, then we will come on back. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit, live from Rudy's, and it's here from Learfield. Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit rolls on from Rudy's. We're going to make this a very quick segment and then get back with Coach Fisher. We had the technical difficulties, so we want to get everybody back online and have time for Coach. I do want to remind some people on Facebook Live, Shreveport has checked in. Center, Alabama. Love having Aggies in Alabama rooting for us. We've got Belleville, Texas. We've got Hot Springs, Arkansas. San Antonio has checked in. Wiley Von Alstein has checked in. Granbury. And Ian Hill in Houston. Congratulations on Friday, Ian, getting the Aggie ring. That is wonderful. Good for him. We're going to continue from Rudy's. It's the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. Back with the coach. You're listening to this from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit rolls on from Rudy's. Thanks for staying with us here on the Aggie Radio Network, along with the head coach. I'm Andrew Monaco. Can I tell a little story out of school? So back on the practice fields on Monday, and it's been warm this week, and I see you walking on the field, and you're just like, you all couldn't play in Florida. And then you said to Cully, how about that hair now, to Cullen Gillespie? I was like, how do you like that hair now, Cullen?
That little bit of humidity got cranked up.
You got a little frizzed. He
said, that's what he said. He said he don't like it real well right now.
It's nice to be able to do that with your players, though, isn't it?
Hey, we're out there practicing. We're pushing to get better, but it's about relationships and the people you have, and fortunate to be around those kids. We got great kids. We really do. I mean, we really do. And guys they're willing to let you coach them and all that. But when you push them and you challenge them, you got to get to know them. You can't push and prod somebody and try to take them to places they haven't been if they don't realize you care. And we do. Whether they seem sometimes, like I always said, my parents don't care about me. Remember the time I was in trouble? You know what I mean? But they were getting on me and trying to make me better. But there's a give and take there. You got to push and get them, but they got to know you care and it matters to them, and we definitely do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our staff does a great job with those guys.
That's part of culture, isn't it?
That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
When people ask you when you walk away from the game, do you miss the games? You really don't. And I've heard so many people say, I was around Coach Bowden forever. He said, no, I don't. He said, I don't miss the games one bit because that was my nervousness. That was the thing. He said, what I missed was the relationships, the people in the building every day and the things you did. And people don't realize when you spend as much time as we do with athletes and the people and the guys you coach with, when you're talking 14, 16, 18 hours a day,
right.
I mean, it's almost consistently year-round. I mean, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
And, you miss that camaraderie and those relationships, and that's what it's all about, the players and the coaches.
You're spending more time with them than your family at times, aren't you?
Oh, without a doubt.
That
During
is your
the season,
family.
there is. I mean, that is an extended family, without a doubt.
You mentioned Bobby Bowden. You've coached with Terry Bowden. As you're going to hear all this week, it's going to be one of the storylines with Nick Saban. It's almost like Coach and Nick Saban are going to go Indian wrestle at the 50 instead of their teams are going to go play. Rick Minter, you mentioned. You've learned from everybody that you've coached with, haven't you?
I think you do from everybody. I mean, you watch and you learn. And And that's something when I was young, I talked a lot. I still talk a lot. But at the same time, my dad told me, he said, you got 2 ears and 2 eyes. If you watch and listen 4 times as much as you talk, you'll learn. And I was fortunate to be around, the Bowden family at a young age, which really made me understand ball at a big-time level and how the commitment to work and how to practice and put the foundation, how to treat people, all that. From Terry, and I was around Bobby, not just when I coached with him, but during that time too. Yeah. And I was very fortunate for a long period of time. Was with Rick Minner for a year, did a great job up there. And then I was at LSU with Nick. You learned a ton from him. And Nick is, like you say, Nick and Bobby, you can argue as good as anybody's ever walked the sidelines. Yeah. Those guys are. And then Les Miles. Les was outstanding. Les, had a great career at LSU and other places he's been. And I've been fortunate, and all the assistant coaches. You learn from assistant coaches, you learn from administrators, you learn from people. But, a lot of times it's people think, you've been somewhere, but I was blessed at an early age to get taught the things the right way by the right people, and I think it's made a difference.
So you were matching wits every day with Nick Saban on defense, right, as an offensive coordinator. Now, I've heard our players say time and time again, iron strengthens iron, right? So when the offense says the defense got better, did it help you as well as a play caller?
A much better coach, yes. But because of how, and then you realize how they could look at you, how they did. We're trying to run this play, and most people, you could do this. Well, he does something that couldn't. It challenged you mentally, physically, and psychologically. But I'm going to say this. The biggest part about it, which I say all the time, it's not the offense, it's not the defense, it's not the special teams. It's the team. You have to be able to play together and understand the identity of each team, what the strengths are on defense. So on offense, you can maybe help the weaknesses. Gotcha. And how you call plays, what you do. And on defense, how the offense has to play, so that you have to change what you do. And on special teams, the way you look at return game, the way you look at kick game, that all has to fit together. And I think of all the things around Coach Saban, you always say, people ask us all the time, y'all went at it, but we were on the same team.
Right.
It was never about to divide the team, because I've seen that happen now. You get an offensive coach and a defensive coach, and the offense don't. No, it didn't. That's not good. And any kid coach who lets that happen is not being a head coach. I don't care if you got coordinators or not. It's how you got to relate to each other. And that was one of the great things that when I was around him, that I think he did as good a job as anybody I've ever been around. He did not let that team divide and understood the oneness it had to have. Any other influences for you as a coach? Point blank, my father. Yeah. I always say that as a kid. My father, what he made me do was think. He really did. And I was from, I had a low athletic ability, could play, and if he was better, well, you go to play an older kid. I always had to play up. Well, he's bigger, Dad. Okay, well, beat him with your head. Right. Outthink him. Oh, what's that got to do with anything? And he always made me, why'd you do that? Well, I thought, well, tell me why you did that. And then if you don't know why'd you do it? And he always got me into the whys of the game constantly. I think he made me understand that at a young age, that your mind is the greatest attribute you have as an athlete or a competitor. The physical abilities you have, everybody has great gifts and limitations on certain levels. But when you understand what you are and how you are and mentally how to go about competing, it made a big difference to me. And my father and the toughness part and the competitiveness. I don't want to hear it. Right. You're sore, you're banged up, you're hurt, your leg's swole, then don't play. Right. That's what you're going to get when you play ball. Yeah. Then quit crying. You know what I mean? The toughness part, the competitive part. He was by far the greatest influence I ever had, without a doubt. Did it help you as a quarterback? Oh, no doubt. Did it? Because you had to lead people. If the quarterback's not tough, team's not tough. Right. I don't care what you say. Yeah. If the quarterback's not competitive, you think those guys want to play for a guy that's not competitive or tough or wants to stand in the pocket and take plays and get hit in the mouth when he has to? Listen, the defensive guys say, listen, we just go get him the ball, he'll go win for us. And they'll play harder on defense. The offensive guys will block harder. They'll play harder. The guys will go catch the ball. Listen, he's not doing it. He's going to stand in there and battle with us. And when you're a quarterback, to be able to lead, and everybody talks about the arm talent, the run talent, that's great. How do you affect people? Right. How do you affect the guys on the field? How do they want to play for? Where's the competitive edge? Where's the toughness come from? Can you affect them and bring them out, bring you, they've got to be the extension of me on the field. They have to see as a coach. They have to understand. And they have to have the personality that guys want to be around them. And that's so much more the competitiveness, the toughness, all that things that people don't talk. You see physical throwing skills, but that's a big part of quarterback, and that gets your attention. That's not quarterbacking. Right. The rest of the things are decision-making, accuracy, all the things you got to do. Does anything change in preparation because Saturday is now your first road game? No. This crowd noise. Gotcha. Which they're happy because that means they can't hear me yelling all the time. We cut it off in certain periods. They were saying, bring the noise back. Somebody, you asked me that today. You said, kill him, boy, he's ready to get. I said, no, he's not. He's tired of hearing me. He wants to hear the crowd noise so he doesn't have to listen to me get on his butt and practice. So that's all that is.
So during practice, I'm walking there on Monday, and I hear all this noise, and then it stops, and as they're walking out, I hear Kellen say, make it louder, make it louder. Coach says to me today, yeah, he didn't want to hear me. So it's just he'd
rather hear the crowd noise than hear me. But no, it is. You got to the preparation and the communication, silent counts, and making sure your hand signals different things and what you got to communicate with. But other than that, hey, it's still a football field. You got to go play.
You've even made the home games business trips, haven't you?
They are.
Yeah.
And we're going for business. We got business to take care of. I mean, everybody else is having fun. We are too. We'll have fun afterwards. We got business to take care of. That's the way you got to look at it.
And that business will be on Saturday at 2:30. We're going to come back. Final segment with Jimbo Fisher, the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Before I tell you, AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing. That's our thing. We're going to come back to Rudy's here on 504 Harvey Road in College Station. More of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit from Learfield. The interception was by Larry Pryor. The highlight, as you hear coming back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. Coach, I joked we had the check-in on Facebook Live from Sulphur Springs. Larry Pryor gets the interception. I'd love to see more of that this weekend against Alabama.
Oh, definitely. I mean, turnovers are critical. I mean, that's still the biggest stat in football. Can you get turnovers, and do you have them on your side? And unfortunately, the game against Clemson, that was it. 2 critical ones for us, and that goes. But getting them, and we'll start to get some, and would love to have some. That'd be great.
I sometimes feel like once you get one of them, then it's almost like the dam breaks and you get more.
And then people say, force turnovers. You got to do something. No, you don't. Just keep playing fundamentally sound, doing the right things. It'll happen.
Yeah.
And because when you start looking for turnovers, then you start making dumb plays. You start doing things and extending yourself and taking chances you don't need to. And you just got to keep making plays. Guys will get the ball.
You mentioned something on Monday when you were talking that you were asked about the secondary, and you said eye violations. What are eye violations?
Listen, the greatest attribute you can have as a player is your eyes. Can't see a play, can't make a play. And what I'm saying is, we have a saying, see a little, see a lot, see nothing. It's like when you try to do too much or your eyes are everywhere, you're really not seeing anything. When you're locked into what your assignment is and you're focused, you can see, you can process, you can react. And that comes from a discipline. And you've got to have your eyes disciplined to look at the right things so you can make the right keys, create the right leverage, coverage, fit on the run, wherever. Every guy has 1 or 2 things that he has to key on every play. And when you key them, then that allows you to react and play fast. And what you do That's where the trust factor comes in. Because if you don't trust, then you start, well, I got to make up for so-and-so. Then you start getting your eyes over it, and then all of a sudden your job doesn't get taken care of. You got to trust everybody on the field, train your eyes to not be in the wrong place, and so you can process and make good plays.
So we as fans, if we get so focused on the interception and the turnover, but are you thrilled by that pass that's broken up because he's in the right position and all of that?
Here's my thing. You can have great results for the wrong reasons, and everybody can be happy. They're not going to last. You got, like I say, it's about a process. The process is about doing things right every day, practicing right, preparing right, and getting to the results in the right direction. Sometimes things happen. All right, but you can't rely on that. Those things are going to go away. It's like I always ask the why. People say they make a great play, a guy makes a great throw, and you ask the quarterback, well, why did you do that? Well, I don't know, I just saw him open. No, if you don't know why, when I call the play again, how are you going to repeat it? And then how are you going to fix it when it's wrong? You got to get to the right results by the right reasons. There's going to be enough of, as I say, life or ball that just happens. But you got to be consistent on your discipline of how you get there, or you'll never be a consistent winner.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
One of the other questions I asked you was, are you starting to see an identity develop for this team?
Well, I hope so. And from a competitive standpoint, from a toughness standpoint, and what we're starting to see, the practice is starting to come around. It's just now we're starting to practice like I want to practice and prepare like I want to prepare, because like you say, when you go on Saturday, you don't want them thinking, you want them reacting.
Gotcha.
And when you prepare well, so it's like on a test. You see the question, you give the answer. You see the question, it's like you see the play, you see the formation, you see the down and distance. You know that we know what they're in certain field positions, times on the clock. You know what they're going to do, or within one or two things, so you can react. And that's the part I'm starting to like. And we still got a long ways to go. We're still just trying to get better every day. And I know people say, well, but that's how you have to do it.
Right.
We have to get better every day, do what we can do, and eventually we'll get there.
I remember after Clemson that there was a number of players said, we had the confidence that we could play with anybody in the country. You're getting the best in the country on Saturday, right? And you have to have that confidence, don't you?
If you don't have confidence in yourself, who else is going to have confidence in you? And that confidence has got to come. Did you put the work in? Did you put the preparation in? And are you sound in what you do and you have ability, which they all do. So they better have confidence. I have confidence in them.
Right.
Now we have to go execute. We have to go play. And there's going to be adversity in the game. Listen, they're going to make plays. They're on scholarship too. You know what I mean? They're going to make plays, and how you deal. And that's one of the things I was proud of in the Clemson game. When they made plays and got ahead, we didn't try to do too much. We just played the next. When you get behind, or the other team does something well, or whatever it is, here's what you can control. You know what? The next play.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
Play the next play. Play the next play. Play the next play. Don't let them affect you in any way. If it's dead and right, correct it, move on. If it's good, process it, move on. And that's all you can do, and you got to stay in the moment. And that's what I'm proud of, and hopefully we'll be able to do that this weekend at a high level.
I had the feeling that Clemson was glad that it was just a 60-minute game and not anything longer.
Well, I mean, our kids were ready to play and fresh, and unfortunately we got to execute better, and that comes from me coaching. Us and the coaches, we got to coach them better to do that. But our kids were, as far as a competitive standpoint, a conditioning standpoint, and things like that, they were there ready. They were fresh as days. They were ready to go, and hopefully we'll play a little better at those key moments, and hopefully that conditioning will pay off throughout the season.
What will be some of the keys for Saturday?
I'm going to write down like they always do, turnovers. I mean, first of all, it's going to be turnovers, and then big plays. At the end of the day, stopping them and creating them on your side. Third down conversions, red zone offense and defense, however you play that, short yardage goal line, the base things, how you doing, and being able to run the football and stop the run, be able to play in the trenches and be able to do the things you got to do. And I think in how you deal with the adversity in the game. Right. There's going to be adversity and there's going to be success of not getting too high and keep your nose to the grindstone. If something good happens, and go make something else good happen. If something bad happens, not to panic, manage the crisis, play the next play.
Beat the hell out of Alabama on Saturday, Coach.
Hey, we're going to try.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. This has been the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. We'll talk to you 1:30 with the pregame show on Saturday, 2:30 the kick against Alabama on the Aggie Radio Network. So long, everybody. Thanks and gig 'em.